You are listening to an exclusive preview of this week's episode of STF Underground.
Let's run through quickly some of our Fastlane predictions of some of these matches going into this Sunday's WWE Fastlane. They just announced tonight the kickoff show, Rey Mysterio versus Andrade Cien Almas. Who do you got for that match?
I've got Andrade in that one. I'm a little bit mad that this is on the kickoff show. I thought it would be a hot opener, but and actually I thought that they would drag this out to Mania, to be very honest. But I've got Andrade in this one.
I do agree with you. I wish that this would be an actual show. Taking a look at the rest of the card here, I'm not really sure what else would be able to be on the kickoff show other than Asuka versus Mandy Rose, to be quite honest with you. But, that's neither here nor there. I actually have Rey Mysterio in this one. I think that he needs to, he's made his comeback and he's done really great things and had over and over repeatedly hot matches with Andrade Cien Almas. I'm not even sick of it yet, but if they continue doing it, I probably will be. That said, this needs to separate them and be the last one for a little while, so that's what's upsetting about it being on the kickoff show. But Rey needs to be elevated to be able to do something big going into Mania, likely to me being in a multi-man match for one of those mid-card championships, but we'll see where that goes. Next up, we have the WWE Championship, Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens.
I got Daniel retaining going into Mania. Again, we are fingers crossed for Kofi Kingston to win it all against Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. Kevin Owens thrown in there is like the biggest curveball they could have thrown at us, to where, all right, well, now all my predictions go out the window. I don't think Owens is winning, but it'll be really interesting more to see, the storyline implications of what Owens does after this. I still don't trust that he's fully like a babyface, but he was in full babyface mode tonight.
Well, exactly what you just said is exactly kind of where I'm at. I agree with you. Daniel Bryan is going to walk out of the Fastlane as a WWE champion because of Kofi Kingston, unless Kevin Owens somehow turns heel and makes it personal, and somehow with Kofi Kingston going forward. But that doesn't really make any sense. Kofi's already pinned Daniel Bryan a couple of times, so it makes sense for that to go into WrestleMania. I would love to see that don't trust Kevin Owens come back and maybe see Kevin Owens against Mustafa Ali, which they kind of put them together. We talked about earlier with Mustafa Ali being involved in this whole picture here. Maybe it makes sense for Kevin Owens to blame a Mustafa Ali, or not be the nice guy, or maybe even on the opposite end, see a heel Mustafa Ali cause Kevin Owens a title.
Wow, that's actually interesting. But I would love to see Kevin Owens, Mustafa Ali. I think it would elevate both the guys. A few weeks back, I thought it would be Mustafa Ali against Samoa Joe, but my spidey sense is tingling more towards Samoa Joe, John Cena now with this whole U.S. title thing.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. Samoa Joe brought it up during his whole backstage promo of, I'm not John Cena, I'm not going to do this. And, I think that going out of and going into WrestleMania, that Samoa Joe is going to be taking on John Cena. That just makes the most sense to me now for that United States Championship. And seeing John Cena wanting to restore order to the WWE or to the United States Championship, and then validating Joe by beating Cena at Mania.
Yeah, that would be the ideal scenario there.
Becky versus Charlotte. Who do you got?
I got to go with Becky, obviously, because I think for sure it's going to be that triple threat match. Now, another option is that it's like a no finish, right? It's like something happens, Rousey comes in, whatever it might be, no more, Miss Nice Bitch or whatever it is, and nobody gets the win. It ends up being chaos and pandemonium, which I can see them going that route, because it would be weird for Becky pin Charlotte and then just have Becky win at Fastlane and Mania. I think they're saving the big 1, 2, 3 count or the tap out for WrestleMania. So I'm gonna predict that it's a no contest.
I'm in the same place. I don't think it makes sense for Becky to clean pin Charlotte as far as with her being hobbled. If she does win, I think that maybe it's with Ronda Rousey coming, maybe trying to take out Becky one more time, but then, accidentally taking out Charlotte. Becky picks up the victory. But I do think that, Becky wins by DQ, maybe because, and absolutely because of Ronda's involvement. Next up, the Shield versus Corbin, Lashley, and McIntyre. I think this has, to me, Dean Ambrose heel turn written all over it.
Yeah, I've got the Shield going down. I've got the Corbin, Lashley, McIntyre winning this. They've had a lot of momentum. I know we haven't been the biggest fans of them just sort of thrown together, but they are kind of this like three-man power trip here. Elias could play a factor in there. He's been involved, so kind of that sneaky fourth man. But more so than that, I think it's that Ambrose is going to be that wild card. It's a heel turn, or it's him walking away or something, and he just leaves Roman or Seth to eat the pin. I would really not want Seth to eat the pin, considering he's going into Mania against Brock. So keeping him strong is really, really important. It may be Dean taking the pin. I don't know what it is, but I've got the Shield on the losing end of this thing.
Not that it matters, but Asuka versus Mandy Rose.
Well, as long as she doesn't drop Asuka on her head again, no. I don't know the situation behind that, but hopefully they can make Asuka look strong going into it. And that's putting all of like my personal, I'm a big fan of Asuka aside. They really need their SmackDown Women's Champion to get some momentum and really make a statement and go into WrestleMania season, go into March with some momentum and they need to get their head out their ass and figure this out.
And I have a little bit of confusion coming out of this because to me, I really don't know once again who faces Asuka at WrestleMania for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. My bet would probably be on Nikki Cross. Just because we know that they can put on that amazing match that they put on in NXT for the last woman standing match, but Nikki Cross has really been non-existent as well.
So, and pardon my ignorance, is Ember Moon injured?
That's a great question. I completely have forgotten about Ember Moon.
And I thought about this last week in that Ember Moon and Asuka had some classics in NXT. Asuka was always the one that Ember Moon could never really get one over on. I think she may have eventually gotten a victory over her, but I think Asuka Ember Moon would be an awesome match for on the women's side. But I wasn't sure. We'd have to go look into it. I wasn't sure if Ember was injured or something.
Well,
like
from
that.
what I can remember, Ember is on Raw, but not that logic takes place during this anyway.
Yeah, I'd say in terms of brand swapping, it's pretty easy to write that in.
The Usos versus Miz and Shane.
Yeah, Usos got this one. There's going to be some tomfoolery there in that, and it's in Miz's hometown, so he's definitely losing in front of Mr. Mizanin for sure.
I mean, they like to have people lose in their hometown, so that definitely makes sense. That said, are we going to see a Miz or Shane turn, and who?
Yeah, one of them is turning. I think the whole thing is to build to a one-on-one match, Miz against Shane. Smart logic says it's Miz. He snaps and goes after Shane, just embarrassed, and then he snaps and he can't kind of take it anymore. They'd have to really write something compelling to make me believe that Shane, for whatever reason, just did a 180 and decided to beat down Miz.
See, I can really see that going either way. The Miz kind of saying, you didn't let me make my dad proud. But in the other way, Miz was the one that convinced Shane to have this whole run. He convinced him to have this whole rematch. So Shane could easily, to me, use that as his whole heel turn of like, this is your idea, and now because of you, we failed.
That's a leap in character. I don't think.
Hey man, Shane takes leaps, right?
He does, but not leaps in character, I guess. Yeah, I think it would be funnier to be just Shane pissed off that Miz keeps making him jump through tables and just to lose.
Right.
But my boys, the Usos, they're taking the titles to Mania.
The WWE Women's Championships are up for grabs when Sasha Banks and Bayley defend against the Samoan Women's Squad, Nia Jax and Tamina.
That's a brilliantly creative name.
That's what I do.
Samoan bulldozers. Yeah, no, I've got Sasha and Bayley in this one. It'll be hard fought, but it's good for the titles. We talked about the relevance of the titles, so having a hard fought match where they're able to overcome Nia Jax and Tamina, that'll be great. I'm excited to see what kind of cross brand challenger they get for WrestleMania. Like you said, like NXT's got your Kairi Sanes, and I think that there could be some really cool challengers. Tamina eats the pin, and hopefully she doesn't injure somebody in the process.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like for the sake of the titles and for the sake of the title reign, it doesn't make any sense to have that championship end. That whole reign end right away. But I do have Sasha Banks and Bayley. I mentioned last week that I do see maybe a nostalgia match take place here, which, looking at Mania, there's not a lot of nostalgia taking place. So I think Sasha
right.
Banks.
That was a really cool prediction. You mentioned Trish Stratus and Lita.
Yeah, I do think that that's going to be the match going into Mania. Sasha Banks and Bayley defending against Trish and Lita. We'll see if that happens. Again, it's a little bit of a leap too, but fantasy booking, right?
It's a good fantasy book.
Like what you heard? New episodes drop every week. If you want more content, follow us on Facebook at STF Underground Podcast or on Twitter and Instagram at STF Underground.